Shalawama. I did not expect. It just went live by itself. Anyway, Shalawama, Assalamu alaikum, Islam to all the Moors and everybody else who watches this video. So let's pick it back up. Welcome to the free astrotheology course. I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. And we're going to, I'm going to try to, hold on, let me try to go live on Instagram. I've never tried it, but let's see what happens. See if we can make it do what it do. So we're going to pick it up on page 128. Shalawama, Shalawama, Islam to all the Moors. Welcome, welcome. This is the free astrotheology course. I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. Our course textbook is the astrology of the Bible. The astrology of the Old Testament. The astrology of the Old Testament, the lost word regained. Of course, the lost word is astrology, but you should listen carefully. It says the lost word regained. So astrology is the lost word, okay, of the Bible. Believe that or not. Believe it or not. Anyway, welcome to everybody on Instagram. This is my first time going live on Instagram. I hope y'all like what I'm going to present here. So we're on page 128. We're going to start at the bottom paragraph, all right? The last paragraph. Well, actually the last two. Okay, so if y'all want, on Instagram, if you want to see all the videos, all the classes before this class, just go to my YouTube channel, Zion Law School, okay? You'll see our logo. You'll see me. Anyway, let's get right into it, all right? So the way this works is I read it and then I give commentary. And you don't have to worry about if what I'm saying is true because you're getting it right from the book. And this is one of the most famous, one of the most acclaimed works on astrotheology. Okay, y'all. Again, the book is the Astrology of the Old Testament, or the Lost Word Regained, published in 1892. Y'all see that? And the author is Carl Anderson. All right. So here we go, page 128. Oh, by the way, there's a link in the community section so you can get the free PDF, okay? And I'm going to go for just about 1 hour only. All right. So let's begin. Page 128, second paragraph from the last. We also read that at first they were naked. He's talking about Adam and Eve. Y'all go back and watch the video that I did, Mankind Enslaved Adam. And were not ashamed. So they were naked and not ashamed. Just imagine that. Naked, you ain't got no clothes on, and you don't feel uncomfortable. Clearly, that doesn't make sense, right? And that afterward, they made them coverings of fig leaves. So of course, this is after they ate the fruit, okay? Under the interpretation of phallus worship, phallus means erected penis. Under the interpretation of phallus worship or signification or symbolism, so what is it saying? There is this is with the whole Bible. There are portions that have to do with worship of the phallus, an erect penis. Okay? And then there are portions that have a religious dogmatic interpretation. And then there are actually other interpretations too, like the astrology or astrotheological interpretations. So anyway, right now we're just dealing with the phallus worship, okay? Or the hard on. This is a fine representation of the heat and innocent state of youth. Okay, so you're young going into puberty, or you just got into puberty, your hormones are going crazy, until tempted by natural laws, and the inevitable feeling of shame attending the gratification of lust. Now, I would have to say from my travels, my experience in my life, that this is not true. It depends on the culture where you're at. So for example, in Asia, they don't have all the stress and craziness, the guilt trip over sex. It doesn't exist in Asia, unless of course they're in the Catholic religion or one of the Christian religions. That's a different story. But in general, you don't see that. Okay, you don't see that. So I would have to disagree with the author right here. That's going to be more culture and more learning, rather than what you're born with. Okay. He continues. They strove to hide it by covering themselves with the lightest clothing of a torrid zone, and the cooling leaves of the fig tree are chosen as a symbol. Okay, so the fig tree leaves are chosen to cover over the shame. Okay, cover over the shame of desiring and seeking sexual gratification. Now, that does not have to be lust, because you have to remember, in ancient times, I don't want to say boy, natural men and women at the age of puberty, they would marry. So I've seen as early as 11, 13, 14, 15 years old in ancient times. Okay? Anyway, let's continue. Now, of course, this is my opinion. You all are entitled to your own opinion. So let's continue, page 129. First, because the fig is full of seed. Okay, the fig is full of seed. So are the genitals, right? The testicles is full of seed. Okay, and then of course the woman has her eggs. Okay. Secondly, because the use of this slight covering is and always has been an Aboriginal custom. So, according to the story, now I don't recall in those chapters in Genesis where it says the leaves were figs. Maybe I'm losing my memory at the moment, but I don't recall that. But I do see the author's point. He could just be saying that according to custom, the leaves that they covered themselves were fig trees. Why? Because they're short and they're full of seeds. Okay, that's all he's saying. But remember, he says Aboriginal custom. So Aboriginal would have reference to the Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, man and woman. Not the Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 and 27, man and woman, because that's mankind. And mankind came a long time after the original man and woman. So we should also remember what Aboriginal means. Okay, so ab and then original. So let's go back. Hopefully I can find this pretty quickly. Okay, page 5 of our book here. We see that ab, A-B, and the word aboriginal. Ab means father, original, generator. Okay, ab, original, generator. Okay, now let's go to the other part of the word. Hold on. Oh boy. Wait 1 second. Here we are. So let me just read this out of the paragraph for you all. And then you'll get to see the author's point here. And the state between these lives, this is page 4, is what is now designated as purgatory. So I'm not going to go into that. Y'all go read it for yourself. But in ancient times was lying in the arms of Osiris. Now this is a Christian author here. And the quote-unquote bosom of Ab-Ram. Ab-Ram. Abram, right? Or the due east or original place of the birth of light. So clearly he's talking about Aries, correct? The zodiac sign or constellation Aries. Waiting for the dawn. Okay, so the dawn would be the beginning of the next day. And the part of the heavens is the first degree of Aries. Okay, is the first degree of Aries. So Aries represents the dawn of a new day. Because remember, Aries all the way to Libra, this represents what? The domination of the sun. So 12 hours of sun beginning at Aries, and then the sunlight increases until Cancer, okay? And then the sun, the hours of sunlight goes down, back down to 12 hours of daylight, okay? So from Aries all the way to Libra, this is dominated by sunlight. And then below Libra, going to Cancer, not Cancer, but going to Capricorn. Capricorn is, of course, the winter solstice. The winter solstice is the day of the year that has the greatest number of nighttime hours. So what is it saying? Below the equinoctial line, or below the equinoxes, this is dominated by night, okay? So from below Libra, going to the winter solstice, which is Capricorn, and then, so all of that's dominated by night, and then when we get to Aries, we get 12 hours of daylight again. So a dawn of a new day. Y'all got it? Now he continues. He says the first degree of Aries, that would be the first day of Aries, because there's 30 degrees per month, right? 30 days, 1 degree per day. And signifies the right ascension of the meridian, and 3 initial letters are, right, A, ascension, M, meridian, Ram, okay? And Ab, A-B, capital A-B, listen, from father or generator or original. It is the due east, so Aries is on the due east side of the zodiac or space, and it's called the gate of gold, or O-R, from Orient, from the east. Okay, y'all got it? Everybody see it? So Ab meaning father, original. So the aboriginal man, the original man, Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, man. Okay? This man, Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, is thought made manifest from the soil, or thought clothed in soil, which appears as a fleshly body, a man and a woman. Okay, so let's continue. I don't know how Instagram works. I don't know how to know I'm getting eaten up by the mosquitoes, y'all. I don't know how to know how many people are watching. But anyway, I'll keep going. So we clarify who this aboriginal man is. This aboriginal man is a Moor, M-O-O-R, the aboriginal man, or the Genesis chapter 2, verse 7 man is a Moor. So go look up land in your law dictionary, let's say a Black's Law Dictionary, look up land and you'll see the word Moor, M-O-O-R, okay? Land and Moors are synonymous. So what's the point here? Well, the point is, it's a well-established fact, principle in law, that land and law go hand in hand. Land and law go hand in hand. They are inseparable. Let me say it again. They are inseparable. This is why land is the substance and subject matter of the law. This is why mores are the substance and subject matter of the law. Okay, this is why the substance was removed from the Constitution, the organic Constitution. Y'all see it? Constitution of the United States of North America, or for North America, of the foreign United States of North America. Okay, for being an abbreviation for foreign. Y'all go check it in any dictionary, any good dictionary. For is an abbreviation for foreign. Okay, so foreign in relation to the Aboriginal, the autochthonous Moorish Americans, okay, are foreign nationals in relation to the United States, especially the democracy, right? Why? Because the Constitution ordained and established and guarantees a republican form of government. Okay, so there was an overthrow with this democracy. But anyway, let's keep it moving. I hope I made the point clear. So what do we learn from this? Well, we understand why there was a move by politicians, government or corporate U.S. government officials to introduce trust law. Let me state that differently. Express trust. Because under natural law, corporations cannot own land. They cannot own land. Why? Because they have no substance. Mores are the substance. So a corporation cannot own land. And this is why they perfected the express trust, which allows corporations to own land. Okay? Which also explains, at least in my mind, the 14th Amendment, the removal of the silver, or the removal of the silver, the removal of the nationality of the Moors, the removal of the gold, removal of the substance, constitutional money, and the people from the Constitution. Y'all see it? So that now there's no substance in the Constitution. Okay? So now corporations are on par with corporations. But corporations can never be on par with the living natural man or woman. So anyway, that's where we're at with this. Let's continue. By the way, I'm getting this information from the trust handbook. The author escapes me now, but just Google the trust handbook. It should come up for you. All right, now let's continue. During childhood, to the age of puberty, they go entirely naked. But as soon as betrothal takes place, they get engaged or they take a woman, right? They enter into matrimony. And among savages, this is in the very youth. So who do you think they're calling savages? They're calling savages the autochthonous or aboriginal men and women. They're calling the Moors savages. Or what? Or barbarians, right? The Berbers, barbarians. So we see this. Does everyone see what's happening here? They're calling the rightful heirs, the Moors, who are the substance and subject matter of the law, they're calling them savages. Now, why would they do that? Obviously, because the intent is to steal the birthright. Okay? So you have to destroy their reputation and their image in other people's minds. And also in their minds, right? And the passion has been gratified. You see this? So the Moors, the original men and women, are given to what? They're oversexed. Y'all see it? They're oversexed. Can't control it. And they have a guilt trip over the lust that they think is wrong. Okay? But where does that come from? That comes from religion. Okay? That comes from religion. It is overemphasis on sex. So let's continue. But as soon as betrothal takes place, matrimony, and among savages, this is in the very youth, as I just mentioned. They can be 11, 12, right? And they come together, form a family. This is in ancient times, and probably not so even ancient. Okay, welcome, Katie. Nice to see you here. Good to see you here, rather. Thanks for tuning in, Katie. Katie Finn on Instagram. And passion has been gratified. So it appears to me that the author is saying that they came together in matrimony, formed a family out of passion. Of course, the author has no way of knowing this. So this is nothing but slander and gossip. Slander and gossip. He has no way of knowing this. Other than what? His thought about evolution. Right? His thought about evolution. Now, clearly, this author was a secret society member who had achieved, these mosquitoes are eating me up, who had achieved the highest levels of Freemasonry because he knows about astrotheology. So we know that from past readings, okay? So he knows what's happening. This is not an innocent mistake. He's pushing evolution even though he knows it ain't true. That's my point. The remainder, I'm sorry, I skipped something. Okay. The circlet of the female is worn, and the slight covering of the man, he's talking about the figs where they put them to cover themselves, to cover their genitals. The remainder of the body, still in nakedness, is thus astrologically explained. The season of summer is herein described. Okay, so why is he relating the genitals to summer? Well, because summer is hot. Okay, when a child, when a boy or a girl reaches puberty, their hormones start to jump, as we used to say. They get hot, right? Like Eddie Murphy said about the wind, right? When the wind blows, you know what happens, right? So, summertime, the sun is hot, and then of course, Cancer, which is the summer solstice, the sun will reach its highest elevation, and then the following month, in the zodiac sign, or when the sun is in Leo, the sun reaches its highest intensity. In other words, it gets the hottest. Now, orientation is North America. It gets the hottest, and this hot heat, in combination with the sunlight and the soil, the proper pH balance of the soil, proper mineralization of the soil, and proper conditions in terms of sunlight or shade, this will accelerate the plant's production of fruit and then the ripening of the fruit. Okay, so this is what the author is talking about. But remember, the rest of the body is naked. Okay? Now let's continue. The season of summer is herein described. The trees formerly naked and bare are now clothed in luxurious verdure, and the fruit green but apparent. So the fruit's green but not ripe. Is visible but unripe yet, and not fully developed. Much falls to the ground, and the earth, represented by the earthly sign of Virgo, the Virgin, whose helpmeet is Leo, the lion, or Adam and Eve conjoined. So if y'all don't know what this is talking about, go back and watch the last 2 or 3 videos that I did in this course series on this topic. But I give you a short overview. By the way, I posted in the community section, I posted an image so you can see Leo in relation to Virgo, and then also you'll see Scorpio. So y'all remember, before there were 12 zodiac signs, there were only 10. There were only 10. So Virgo was actually Virgo Scorpio. Virgo and Scorpio were one zodiac sign. Okay, and Virgo was touching or conjoined, when you look at them, conjoined to Leo. Okay, so Leo, remember, is Adam. Leo is Adam. Virgo is Eve. So they're one flesh. Why? Because they're touching. Okay? So they're one flesh. That's what's meant by that. But you'll get this on page 128. I'm sorry, you'll get that on page 126, 27, 28, and we're on 129 now. Okay? All right, so let's continue, y'all. Now remember, so let's pick back up. A lot of the fruit during the harvest will fall to the ground. Okay? So let's continue. And also remember, Leo is Adam. And so Leo and Virgo, this is Adam and Eve. Because the constellations or those zodiac signs are touching each other, they're said to be one flesh. Okay, so Adam and Eve are one flesh. Now, this is the astrological solution to those Bible verses, okay? So leave your doctrine out of it. This is not challenging anyone's doctrine. This is giving you the astro-theological solution to the verses, okay? Let's continue. Oh, by the way, let me bring this to y'all's attention. Give me 1 second. See if I can find it quickly. Well, y'all go back and read page 128. Read it again, okay? Because there's a lot in this. There's a lot in this, especially about Scorpio, who is Judas Iscariot, who is a scorpion, who, when the scorpion stings you from the tail, see the tail is in the back, so backbiter. So these scorpions, supposedly in the East, when they sting you, it looks like 2 lips kissing. Okay, so Judas kisses Jesus. Anyway, but there's a lot there. Okay, also Libra, which is the Garden of Gethsemane. But there's a lot there. Anyway, the Lord's Supper and all of that. Page 128. Let's continue. The virgin earth fecundated, okay, fecundated. See, it's made ready to produce offspring or the ongoing generation. It has the high capacity to produce the next generation, okay? It's very fertile, okay? That's the point. The virgin earth, fecundated by the magnetic vital rays of the sun sun, becomes as one. For astrology teaches that whenever the sun and other planets and stars are in the heavens at birth, if y'all are thinking what I'm thinking, then congratulations, because you're getting it. Let's continue. So that wherever the sun and other planets and stars are in the heavens at birth, these are radically the places during the life. And the magnetism of those planets, y'all, magnetism is not gods, devils, and demons. Magnetism. And the magnetism, do you realize we study magnetism in high school, college, physics class, right? When you deal with electronics, electricity, you're studying magnetism, not devils, demons, gods, and spooky stuff, okay, y'all? So stay practical. Stay practical. And the magnetism of those planets, the SUN sun, the moon, and stars, is fixed or as one flesh or one being. So then that means when you came out of your mother's womb, the configuration of the heavens and you, that's one flesh. Okay, this is what the author is telling us, one flesh. So what does this mean? So we learned in earlier chapters, y'all remember what we learned about purgatory? Let me see if I can find it really quickly. Maybe I shouldn't go. Well, let me just summarize it. So purgatory, the configuration of the stars when you come out of your, when you ascend out of your mother's womb, that configuration, let's call it A. And then when the fleshly man, the more expires, goes back to the ground, right? When that configuration of the planets and the stars, let's say planets and luminaries, the sun and the moon are luminaries. So when configuration A is seen again, let's say it's seen again here, now you are what? Resurrected, as it were. And this space between, this time between, the Catholic Church monetized that and called it purgatory. Okay? Monetize it means they said you got to pay if you want to get out of purgatory. Okay? So they held people psychologically hostage, tormented people, stole their birthright, stole their land. Not just theirs, but from their family. With this hustle they call purgatory, okay, which came straight out of astrotheology. Now let's continue. The birth of Eve is a beautiful symbol of astrological teaching, for she, the moon. So Eve is the moon. The moon is feminine. Remember, feminine. So which Hermetic law are we dealing with? All things that are formed in the physical world have both masculine and feminine energy. Okay? But one will dominate the other. So we're dealing with the Hermetic law of what? Opposites. The Hermetic law of polarity. But all things that are formed, you religious people, y'all might be thinking created. Okay? But they're not created, they're formed. Okay, formed. So we have the positive or masculine pole, and let's say the negative or feminine pole. Okay, but it's the same energy. Positive is at the one end, and then negative is at the extreme opposite. Okay? So this is what the author is talking about. So the moon is feminine, okay? She, and Adam, the sun, must be in the same sign. All right? Must be in the same sign. You're talking about zodiac sign. So the sun is masculine. Adam is masculine. Okay? Now, how do we know? What's another way we know that we're talking about Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, man and woman? Well, because in Genesis chapter 1, man and woman is an hermaphrodite. Both sexual organs present. Both sexual organs present. But then that created creature, according to the Yaqub story, which is passed down from our ancestors in Moorish history, tells us that mankind, Han Uman, the created creature, and let's call it a formed creature, uh, the Elohim, which were Yaqub and the 12 feminine scientists. Okay, now were some of those Raphaim? Possibly. Possibly. I don't know, I wasn't there. It just says the Elohim. But the verse says, Genesis 1:26 and 27, I'm going to paraphrase, let us create man in our image. So you have Yaqub, who is masculine, if he's a Moor. Was he Raphaim? I don't know. And then the 12 feminine scientists, they were Moors. Why? It says that our ancestors tell us that Han Uman, mankind, was created from the egg of a Moabite woman and the sperm of a chimpanzee, the black one, the most aggressive and violent, right? The most territorial. Okay? So what do we learn? This word Elohim. This word Elohim tells us the grammar. Actually, there's two pieces of grammar that tells us that Elohim well, let me not get into that. Let me just say this. Elohim, the grammar associated with that is also evidence of the presence of female. Okay? Female. All right? Actually, if I remember correctly, Eloah, E-L-O-A-H, is feminine, a feminine noun. Okay, so the I-M suffix. Now, this is biblical Hebrew, and I don't like going through this because I don't deal with biblical Hebrew, and I don't like to talk about it because I don't want anybody to think that I'm pushing it. Okay, because I'm not. But for the sake of this discussion right here, so the I-M is a plural suffix. But the base of Eloah, so therefore the base of Elohim is E-L-L, which is masculine. Okay, so when we're dealing with this, we're getting into collective pronouns, collective nouns, and these kinds of things. So we know for certain that the created creature, or the creature that our ancestors formed in Genesis chapter 1, 26 and 27, was in fact an amorphodite from the grammar. Okay, y'all? But anyway, I think I went a little bit too long on that. But let's continue. The birth of Eve is a beautiful symbol of astrological teaching, for she, the moon, and Adam, the S-U-N sun, must be in the same sign in the due east. Due east, remember, is Aries, the golden gate, okay? Or the Garden of Eden, to find the serpent, which you will find in the mysteries of Isis later on. The serpent, y'all. Now, why is this going to be in the mysteries of Isis? Anyway, let's continue. In this entrance to Eden, they must be joined as one flesh. Now remember, Eden is what? A garden. They must be joined as one flesh or become as one body. And yet, in the very entrance to Eden, the head of the serpent appears. To resume, the virgin earth fecundated. So fecundated again, that's like fertilized. You know, the soil is ready to produce. The virgin earth fecundated by the vitalizing magnetic rays of the S-U-N sun ripens the harvest. So this is what I'm talking about Leo, the lion, the sun having its greatest heat intensity. during Leo. Okay? All right, so this is the magnetic energy that the author is talking about. Ripens the fruit, and yet under the early frost of the forthcoming winter, the Escheat sun has now got into Libra, and the serpent or Scorpio leads him. Okay? So the sun is falling from its highest elevation in the north, from Cancer. Falling meaning it's getting lower in elevation. So it falls from Cancer into Leo. It continues falling into Virgo, continues falling into Libra. But remember, Libra, scholars, Libra was not present in the beginning. Libra is a constellation that the Greeks inserted into the Zodiac. And so the Greeks said that they inserted Libra into the Zodiac because man's fall, when man fell, Libra, the constellation Libra was inserted between Virgo and Scorpio. Hope everybody gets that. And what it means. I went over this briefly in the last two or three classes, last two or three videos. So y'all go to Zion Law School on YouTube and you can watch those. This is number 53. This is class number 53, okay? So you should look at class number 50, 51, and 52, something like that, to get that information. Actually, everything we've been talking about, 50, 51, 52, or 49, 50, 51, 52, okay? Where are we? Oh, okay. So the sun enters into Libra, and the serpent or Scorpio, so Scorpio was also at one time called a serpent, and leads the Escheat sun, leads him, the Escheat sun, to his fall. And the superabundance of water, the minstrel of all nature. So y'all got that? So water is the minstrel of nature. So a woman has her menstruation, right? So water is the minstrel of nature. The heavy fruit, unripe and frost killed, falls to the ground. And ripe only in appearance, the apples worm-eaten. Remember we're talking about the serpent. The apples worm-eaten, so these worms are like little serpents. I guess that's the image that the author wants us to have. Or I guess that's the metaphor here. The apples worm-eaten, another symbol of the serpent's word, are among other fruits thrown to the earth. Now, when that fruit, when the unripe fruit is thrown to the earth, what's going to happen? It's going to break down. It's going to deteriorate, right? And then its nutritional value is going to be absorbed into the soil. And then it will be used in the spring as food or nutrition for the next generation of plants. But also animals might eat it before that, right? So let's continue. Another symbol of the serpent's work are among other fruits thrown to the earth. To eat these windfalls and decayed unripe fruit produces almost certain death. So the author is asserting that in 1892, if you eat unripe fruit, especially fruit that was on the ground, you're going to get an infection. You're going to get cholera morbus, and it can kill you. All right, it can kill you. But in modern times, people get cholera from drinking dirty water usually. Okay, so now let's continue. And yet, not surely death in all cases. By the phallus explanations, by the phallus interpretation that we just went through, lust, lust satisfied, shame. So how was the lust satisfied according to this author? They come together and form a family. This is ridiculous, in my opinion. Okay, it's really an insult. It's defamation of the Moors. How is coming together and forming a family lustful? Anyway, he continues. By the phallus explanation, and keep in mind the phallus explanation, the phallus interpretation has to do with the original man and woman, not the hybrid, not Han-Uman, not the human, not mankind. By the phallus explanations, interpretations, lust satisfies, shame, disgust, and coldness ensue. So what he's doing is preparing your mind to think about winter, the trials and tribulations of winter, okay? The discomfort, the hardship that we experience in winter. Vitality is, as it were, dead, right, y'all? So in wintertime, you don't have that vital energy coming from the sun anymore. Everything is cold and dark. Darkness is ruling. And yet not surely so. See the symbol 9, in this case, resurrection. He shall rise again. So the symbol 9, of course, scholars, you should remember he's coming from page 128, where he says that 9 is the equivalent of the womb, and 9 is the number of the moon. So 9 is the inverted number 6. So y'all see this? The number 6? This is for the sun. The sun is number 6. So invert the number 6 and you get a 9. Okay, again, that's what? It's an inversion, so it's a law of opposites. Okay, it's the law of polarity. And of course, the sun, let me clarify, the SUN sun is number 6. And when you invert the number 6, in other words, you flip it on its head, it becomes the number 9, and the number 9 is the moon. Okay, the number 9 is the moon, and it's the womb. Okay, so here's the vagina, and then here's the womb. Okay, so the vagina, the cervix, the entrance of the cervix, and then the womb. Everybody get the symbology? All right. Let me check the time. Okay. So let's continue next paragraph on page 30. Later on, as coldness ensues, coldness is the fall. Coldness is the fall. Think about a person who has a cold personality, cold-hearted. Okay, this is the imagery and the symbolism, the metaphor that he's wanting you to work with. Later on, as coldness ensues, so summertime ends and fall begins, and winter approaches. Fall is about to end, winter is about to begin, which by the phallus signification, which by the importance, the meaning of the erect penis, is explained by the above described coldness, and that the S-O-U-L of man is now debased and animal. Y'all hear this? Well, to begin with, we know that man does not have an S-O-U-L. The Catholic Church created that after they did the scam with purgatory. So they got you twice. They scammed you twice. Initially, they did the scam with purgatory, and then they said, oh, wow, well, this is great. Because remember, man is thought made manifest from the soil. And in ancient times, our ancestors saw the sun. Their idea of what the sun is was cosmic energy in an area of space where there is no material matter. There's nothing physical. And then there's a certain focal point There's a certain focal point, and cosmic energy would concentrate on this focal point, and then this focal point to us radiates out into the physical world where there's matter, radiates out as the sun, sun. So man is thought made manifest from the soil. Of course, thought is mind. That's the first Hermetic law. Thought is mind. That's the first Hermetic law. So man is thought. Man is divine. Y'all see it? Man is divine. He's not the second or the third or the fifth or the sixth Hermetic law. He's the first. In what? In physical form. He's solar energy, cosmic energy, clothed in soil, which gives the appearance of a fleshly body. Okay? So, in Latin, sun, S-U-N, is S-O-L, soul. Soul. So they, possibly dirty Moors, not possibly, definitely dirty Moors, and the Han Uman, they took the natural fact of nature that man is cosmic energy. Man is sunlight. Man is S-U-N-L, S-O-L rather. So the Catholic Church simply took the S-O-L, which is what, y'all? This is the Hermetic law of what? Correspondence. As above, so below. As below, so above. So the S-U-N sun above, the S-O-L sun above provides the radiant heat energy that facilitates life. And then man has in himself, or man is what? We have that same battery pack, that same S-U-N sun that facilitates heat in us. And this heat is necessary for us to have metabolism, etc., to be able to move, animate. Otherwise, we'd be frozen, right? So as above, so below, as below, so above. So they took this fact, this natural fact, S-O-L, Latin for S-U-N. S-U-N means S-O-N. So they took the S-O-L and then inserted a U after the O. S-O-U-L. And then they created a doctrine that says your S-O-U-L, which they just created, with what? With their magic wand, with the Hollywood, with the pen. Remember Jeremiah 8:8, the priests, the scribes rather, wrote lies into the book of the law. They wrote lies. This notion of a S-O-U-L is a lie. And then they monetized it, right? And then they monetized it. So now you're scared to death about your S-O-U-L, about your soul. Even the Christians will say, well, we're saving souls. It's a total scam. Because when you expire, man is eternal. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only what? Be transformed. It can only be transformed into what? Into another form of consciousness. Okay? So the Catholics got two big scams going on you. Mind control. Through what? Through fear. Anyway, let's keep it moving. So now the author has, in his own words, out of his own mouth, reduced the autochthonous Moors to being animals, debased and animalistic. Let me read it again. And the S-O-L of man, he didn't say mankind, of man, is now debased and animal. The allegory of clothing them with skins of wild beasts signifies the age of puberty or hairy covering by the astrological explanation. This is the astrological solution, okay? The SUN sun is next approaching the winter solstice. That's December 22nd, which is in the southern part of the space. It's the day of the year that has the maximum number of nighttime hours, and it's cold. The earth by frost and cold has lots of its fecundity. Let me repeat that. The earth by frost and cold has lost its fecundity. Yeah, it's too cold. So nothing's going to grow in the frozen soil, right? Except for what? What will stay green? Pine trees. Pine trees. So ain't nothing growing. So the earth is cold and barren. The reeds and bushes and trees are denuded of verdure, and like hair cover the earth, and man who is in summer has neglected to attend to his harvest, for his winter supplies must labor hard to exist. So y'all remember we covered this in the devil's pulpit, right? Whatever you sow, that you shall also reap. So if you don't sow in the spring, you're not going to have a good harvest. And you're going to have to be reduced to hunting animals in the winter, okay? Or robbing and stealing. Or let's say you did all the work and prep during spring, but you failed to collect your harvest for whatever reason, then you're going to suffer. You're going to be hungry in the winter, and you're going to be forced to hunt animals, okay, during the winter, or rob and steal. This is the author's point. By the way, what happens in January and February when the snow starts to melt? Well, then people begin to do what? Go fishing, and then they maintain themselves on fish until springtime comes. Okay? Well, even during spring, but y'all get the point, okay? So the author continues, and by not attending to his natural fruit and vegetables, if you read Genesis attentively, you will see that man was to eat of every fruit while in Eden. While in what? While in the summertime. And after the fall was to eat herbs or vegetables. So what the author is saying is that according to the book of Genesis, during summertime, we're supposed to eat fruit. Let me say it again. During summertime, we're supposed to eat fruit. Okay, in the Garden of Eden, you're supposed to eat fruit. Eden is summer season. And then in the fall, you eat herbs or vegetables. But never at any time was there any mention that man should eat flesh of animals, flesh of beasts or birds. He has now the fight for living to slay the wild beast and take their hides and hairy coverings to keep himself warm. The first recourse of primitive man. Okay, y'all? Primitive would be the aboriginal autochthonous Moors. Okay? Eden is paradise to him no longer. For winter, cold, and frost have arrived, and man, prodigal and wasteful, see, in other words, the Moors, lazy, wasteful, squandered everything, didn't take care of it, so lost it, has neglected his future and must wander like an outcast in search for food. He is driven out of the Garden of Eden. So what would this be? He's driven out of the coffee belt. He's driven out of the coffee belt. Where what, y'all? There's summer year-round, where the earth is giving its produce every day year-round, okay? So now he's got to go up, he's got to go north or go south. You go north into North America, you get the 4 seasons, right? Winter, summer, spring, and fall. And this is the orientation, North America, of modern astrology. All right, y'all, now let's keep it. Eden is paradise to him, no longer Eden is paradise for him no longer, for winter, cold, and frost have arrived, and man, prodigal, wasteful, has neglected his future, and must wander like an outcast in search for food. He is driven, the Moors are driven out, and a guard put at the east gate, or sign of Aries, by border of the Grand Master. And y'all know when I was in South America, I saw very few of us. And y'all know that the hybrid Europeans, the humans, went heavy into South America. And I was supposed the coffee boat, I would have to check it. But places like Chile, I'd have to check y'all check to see if Chile, Argentina, and all of that, check to see what countries are in the coffee belt. 23.5 degrees north, 23.5 degrees south, the tropics, okay? And then correlate that with the colonization of the colonizing troglodyte niggers, okay? By order of the Grand Master, my video ended. So I guess you can only go live for what, 1 hour on Instagram? I thought it was 4. But anyway, y'all, I gotta run. I have an appointment. So I'll be back. We'll go into these details more. I kind of rushed my way through it. But I can go over the details because there's some good stuff in this paragraph and what we've covered so far. Assalamu alaikum, Islam to all the Moors. Shalom.